Thank you, Scott. And thank you, Tony, the two organizers of this. Scott and Tony hold a real aspiration for this community, and they work hard to create it to be a warm and curious place. And that's what we're going for tonight. We're going for warm and curious and clear. That's what the three of us designed in our alliance prior to this. So that's the sort of container we're holding for you. And I just wanted to welcome you and say thank you for spending some time. Thank you for your interest in this topic. I happen to find it fascinating and important, and I'm glad that so many of you show up to find out more about it. And undoubtedly, some things I say tonight you will have heard. So some of the messages I'm delivering tonight, I've been delivering now for 10 years in the Agile community. And so for those of you who have already heard this, or maybe have even taken your own journey further into professional coaching skills or in sprucing up your mentoring, you know, when I go back to a basic class, I want to like open my ears in a new way. So that's what I invite for you, is just open your ears in a new way and see what new layer you can find, or find out what kind of dust or rubble you put on top of the skills that you can now clear away and get to the clearer version of them. Oh, let me see what else is important. I'm really glad we're recording this. So often people ask me, is there a good demo online of a professional coaching conversation and then mentoring? And so that's what I'm hoping we can provide for people tonight, and that we can use over and over again. I think it's important for people to see the difference, and we're going to create that together. So for it to work, we're going to do two demo sessions, one using professional coaching skills that I'll be using those, and one using mentoring skills. And for that to work, I'm going to need two of you who are willing to be my client, for the two of us to have what will feel like a semi-private conversation, even though we know this is being recorded, and who knows who's going to see it. So I saw a hand go up already. So, okay, cool. If you know that you want to be the coaching client, just the coaching client at this point, if you know that you would be up for that, please private message Tony Richards in your chat. And he's going to take it first come, first serve. Okay. All right. So I want to lay a little bit of groundwork, and then we're going to do that first coaching demo. And then we're going to have a really rich debrief after that. And then we're going to do a mentoring demo and have even a richer debrief, because then we'll have the mentoring to debrief, but also sort of the question you all were investigating just now. What's important to me about the difference of these things, and what does the difference bring me in my life and in the work I'm trying to do in the world? Okay. So I'm going to share just a couple slides here. Just a few things to lay some groundwork for us. Give me a thumbs up if you're seeing it. Great, thank you. So this quote is from the Coaching Agile Teams book, that someone doing Agile coaching takes teams beyond getting the practices up and running, although that is incredibly important, beyond that into their deliberate and joyful pursuit of high performance. Notice the word pursuit. I'm not holding that we have to force people to be high performing or they have to arrive somewhere, but just the pursuit of it is the job. It is the thing to do. And so for us to do that, there's a bunch of skills we use, and there are a bunch of situations we're put in. Like, for example, we do some telling, don't we? Don't we tell people how Agile works? How don't we explain things? We persuade and advise. We share our experience. We sit down with people and show them how to do things. Totally valid part of the job of someone who's doing Agile coaching. And we also encounter these things, don't we? We encounter resistance. We encounter people who are sort of listless. They're sort of going along with the flow. They might even be in the way because they're listless. There's a lack of purpose. There's a clash of personalities and styles to deal with. People get stuck. All of that stuff happens, right? So in order to be able to deal with all these types of situations, we need both skill sets of mentoring and of professional coaching. And these are sort of the situations where one is a little bit better than the other. Mentoring is a little more fit for purpose when you're showing how to do something that you already know how to do. Professional coaching is a little more fit for purpose when you're encountering someone who is themselves becoming an impediment to the team because of their non-agile mindset. Sometimes they need information, but don't you know that sometimes they have plenty of information and they just don't want it? So that's when the skills of professional coaching help. So these are sort of how it sort of shakes out. Now, many of you have seen this framework before. This is something I co-created with Michael Spade in the early days of Agile Coaching Institute. You've got a little bit.ly link down there to get a lot more information about it. This framework is now the underpinning of, I think, all of them that I know of, all of the Agile Coach development pathways that the Scrum Alliance has, that the IC Agile has, and now that the Agile Alliance has started an ethics function to try to figure out the ethics of the profession of Agile coaching. So this is underlying all that. And the two pieces that we are talking about today are contained within the fact that we are using mentoring and coaching for the purpose of us and our teams and our organizations practicing and using Agile well to deliver the results the organization wants. That's our container. That's our purpose. And so having a deep knowledge of Agile lean practices, values, principles is absolutely important, and in fact table stakes for being in the game of Agile coaching. And then on this side, we have the skill of mentoring, and on this side, we have the skill of professional coaching. Two different sort of delivery mechanisms or ways of working with the situations that come up as you go about your life doing Agile coaching. So I want to share with you now. Let me see if I can grab the, interesting. I seem to have lost the chat. Oh, I got it. Good. I want to share with you a PDF because I wanted you to have a place to not only have sort of like the key moments or key ideas from today, whenever you're watching this, but also a place to take some notes if you want. Because we're going to be doing the two demos, it'll be useful to take some notes. Okay, so go ahead and grab that PDF. And then let me set us up for the coaching demo. So a coaching conversation has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's not an open-ended chit-chat. This is how it's very, very different from probably most of the conversations most of us are used to having. So what you're going to see when I coach one of you in just a moment is you are going to see me put the coachee in the driver's seat of the conversation. And I'm going to do that by designing the alliance between us. I'm going to ask them some questions, some open-ended questions that help them discover their agenda. And I'm going to ask them just straight out, hey, what do you want coaching on? Because it doesn't have to be mysterious or hidden or real suave and debonair. In fact, the professional coaching skill set is just very straightforward and transparent. Then we're going to explore what they want and what their topic is, what their agenda is. And if we explore it enough, what will naturally fall out of that are some options for them to move forward with action. And then at the very end, we are actually going to forward that action. We're going to forward it with a clear path forward and a design for accountability. And throughout, hopefully, you will notice that I'm self-managing because you will see the absence of me giving opinions, making recommendations, essentially voting on what they say. Okay, so here's the intention and what I really want you to look for. The intention in professional coaching is to increase someone else's insight and have them move forward with their chosen action. Now, the reason for that is people are typically coming to professional coaching conversation when they're stuck, confused, and it might even be something very exciting, like a new job or a new role, and they don't really know what they want to do first. So it's not necessarily always a problem. That's why we call it a topic. It could be something that feels like a problem. It could be something that feels like an opportunity. The other intention is to keep the person accountable to themselves and to the topic or the problem they bring or their opportunity. So you're going to see the skills, hopefully, of me fully listening, asking powerful questions. You will know I'm self-managing by the absence of voting on what they say or giving my opinion or steering them in a certain way. You'll also see the focusing on their agenda. And so in the handout that you've hopefully clicked on the PDF and opened up, you'll see a bunch of skills listed under that same diagram that has the arc of the conversation. I'm hoping that you can use that as sort of a cheat sheet for what you're looking for. Because what I'm really wanting you to do, and you can even do this in the chat as you go along if you want, you could just type stuff in the chat, like what is the evidence that you are seeing in my professional coaching that tells you I am fully listening or asking a powerful question or focusing on the person's agenda or any of those other skills that you see listed in your handout. So how does that sound to you all? Does that sound awesome and good that you want to put that stuff in the chat? Yeah. I think it would be amazing to share it. Now, because of that, I'm going to pay zero attention to the chat. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and close that little window right now while I'm doing this coaching demo, because that would be super, super distracting. Okay. So now is the time for the coaching demo. It's going to be about 15 minutes long. Tony, who do we have?
So your first volunteer for coaching is John Barrett.
Oh my gosh, he just like got right in there. I love it. Well, so now this is always an interesting thing for a coach, is to coach another coach. So I happen to know that John and I are trained in at least one of the same professional coaching schools. And I can tell you, because I have my own coach, that it still works just fine. So everyone else, I'm going to invite you, everyone else but John, to turn off your cameras. And if you like, and this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to go click on the little ellipsis in anyone's window, and I'm going to click on hide non-video participants. So it'll be just me and John at the end. Farida is looking for the PDF. Farida, I'm pretty sure I put it in the chat.
Lisa, I'll attend to that.
Awesome. Let me just throw it in there again. Tony, I just sent it to you. Great. Okay, Tony and Glenn, and could you kind of turn off your cameras, please, sirs? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Hey, John.
Hey.
How fun is this?
I know. We were just talking, what, yesterday?
Yeah, we just had a little email yesterday. So just so everyone knows, we know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a relationship as peers in the Agile community. I think we see each other maybe once every couple of years at some conference or another.
Yep.
Yeah, good. So I'm going to want to pay attention to my time here. Yeah, we're going for about 15 minutes. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. And so, John, I know that you have a lot of experience in coaching, and you've probably been coached. So what do you know works well for you that you want to just tune me or tap me towards?
So I don't like too much inference. So I know you're trained in coactive, and that doesn't work so well for me when people blurt stuff out. So intuition. So that doesn't work very well for me. I'm more on the kind of cleaner side. So if you do have something that you want to blurt out, then please ask me first, and then I'll kind of say if I want it or not.
So would it sound like this? Oh, so John, I'm having an intuition. Does it sound interesting to you or not? Something like that?
Yeah, and I'll say no or yes. Or...
Awesome. Great. Great.
Yeah,
I feel like you just actually like chopped off one of my legs, but I'm okay with that.
I'm making it really hard for you today.
No, not at all. Not at all, actually. It's really important to know the different ways that people think about how they think. You know, so I really appreciate that. I appreciate knowing that up front. So thank you. Yeah. Now we're in this sort of weird situation where obviously I'm not going to guarantee confidentiality for you. Right? Which is sort of a stock in trade thing for coaches.
Yeah.
So what I'm not going to do is hold back my questions, trying to sort of hedge my bets about confidentiality. I'm going to count on you to hold your boundary there. Is that all right?
That's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
And the topic is not too personal. It doesn't involve other people. It's just about me. So I'm quite comfortable with it, especially as it's been recorded.
Yeah, so you won't be telling tales on others. Yeah.
Good. Hopefully not. You know, my business partner's in the audience, so that could happen. But we'll try. I don't think it'll go there.
Okay. Good. Good. Anything else you're aware of before we start moving?
Just that this Pratilk, or if we could stop his video, even though it's kind of not showing, that's kind of putting me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
Thanks, Pratik.
Thank you. Oh, that's better.
Right. Oh, that is better. Thank you. Whew. You know, it's so funny how there are things that create a cognitive load. And I wasn't aware of that particular one, but as soon as that window was gone, I was like, whew. Okay. So what's our topic?
So I'm running a brand new training course next week. And the material was written quite a while ago. And so I've had it on my task list for a while to go through all the materials, make some last minute adaptations, changes, really kind of this week to get in the frame, because it's a public course. But I just keep putting it off. For example, I'm here, right? And perhaps really I should be carrying on working through the materials, you know, getting everything ready, especially online. It takes a lot more preparation, I found.
Well, let me ask you this, because we can probably zoom sort of to the essence of it without having to know a lot of the details. What was your dream about this that had you bring in someone else's course and now tidying it up?
Well, it's not someone else's course. We co-created the course with some other people, so it's like a group of 4 of us. So most of the material that I need to focus on is stuff that I wrote, and it's stuff that I do. So it's not like I'm learning someone else's materials as such. And things are constant. The course is on coaching agile transitions. So and it's an evolving craft that I'm doing all the time. So the materials are constantly evolving and updating, and it's just about being really sharp next week and making sure everything's in place. And I've found with online, that's really
so just hold for a minute. I'm going to intrude intentionally. Just hold for a second, because there's a lot of momentum and thoughts going on about this right now. And you're giving me details, which I know you already know, which means I'm not taking you anywhere new to discover anything new yet.
That's true.
So I need a bit of a reset too. Let's just sit here for a second. John, what's important to you about what you're doing?
Well, my vision is to professionalize the world of agile coaching.
Nice.
Or continue to professionalize the world of agile coaching. It's, you know, it's an evolving craft, and the materials that I use, I don't want it to be theory. I want it to be stuff that I've actually tried and is worked for me. It doesn't mean it's going to work for others, but at least,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the materials and stuff around tends, my inference is that there's a lot of stuff that's not that, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
really important that this is authentic, and so
Yeah.
it's almost, especially when some of the materials aren't mine, it's like some of the bits just don't feel quite like, has someone really tried that and did it work, and can we take
Yeah.
that to others and give them that as a recipe.
Yeah.
Um,
So what I'm picking up so far is practical, not theory that hasn't been tested. Authentic to you. Yeah. And right now, you're just kind of stuck on it. You should be working on it, but you're not. So is our topic getting you some more insight on the stuckness and hopefully getting unstuck? Or is it something else?
I think they're kind of linked. So like when I go to it, there's just something just doesn't feel right. I'm not enjoying it. I'm prioritizing other stuff, and there's something about the course next week that just doesn't feel like it's mine right now, and so I'm struggling to engage with it. And if I can't engage with it, then how are the students next week going to engage with it?
I've heard practical, not untested theory, and authentic. If so, that's some of how it might be more yours. What other things would it have if it were yours that you felt like you could engage with it? And I actually don't want you to be practical right now. We'll worry about that in a moment.
I could rewrite all of the other bits so that it was all mine. Yeah, that would be an extreme thing to do. I could just, I think I need, so I've got a session on Thursday with my co-facilitator for next week. That feels very late, but we couldn't get it in earlier. And I feel like I need to get some more feedback or stuff from people. Like, I'm struggling to do it on my own because like my thinking process is to talk it out like this. So look through what's going, have that conversation with someone, and then listen and kind of brainstorm together, or decide what's not right. Whereas when I'm looking at it on my own, it's kind of like I just don't get that kind of connection. I'm a very connected person, so I need to, or relationship person, so I find that sort of stuff hard to do on my own at this stage. I find it easier earlier on, but now it's kind of about like bringing it together, and I need something to work from or with.
So you've identified this need. Is that you're a person that works in relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hang on to that notion for a moment. You also lined up like 2 or 3 other things you might do prior to that. I want to just sort of bring it full circle for a moment to your dream. Actually, what was your dream? Like, why did you want this course to begin with? And you said to continue to professionalize the world of agile coaching.
Yeah. So this specific thing is all around like managing engagements and managing these huge transitions, and it's an area and a passion that I see like not being done well within the community so much. Kind of, thanks to some of your work, people are kind of getting the coaching bit, and maybe even a bit too far, right? There's like maybe not as much mentoring and stuff that we need. But this area around managing engagement and is the bit that's missing for me, and that's why this course was so important, because it plugs that gap.
Yeah. So how much are you willing to give yourself a break on making this like the most practical, authentic thing in your voice, the most wonderful expression of your purpose in the world for now?
I don't understand the question.
How much are you willing to give yourself a break to that standard?
It's the break. I guess that's where the challenge is right now. It kind of feels like that it's I guess it feels like I'm not right now. So it needs to. I can't let go of the imperfections and the fact that it's not gonna, you know, that it's just not going to be as good as, for example, the agile coaching course that's been iterated over years. It's just not going to be like that first time out.
So it's not going to be like that the first time out, and you can't give yourself a break about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm finding it really difficult to be that vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a new thought that just came. Yeah. So where's that lead in your mind? The thought that you just said, I'm not having a hard time being that vulnerable for this to be a first time out that's not great, like the course we've iterated on for a while.
Comfortable. I think so. I wouldn't say I was a perfectionist, but I really care about this topic, and I really care about the experience for people and understanding that and getting to know that. And there's just something that's kind of underlying there, like some pressure I'm putting on myself, or my own standards of what I expect, and
so you know yourself best. Right now, do you need to put more pressure, or do you need to relieve pressure?
I need to relieve pressure. I need to trust my abilities as a facilitator on the topic, and I know, and I'm good at both of those. That's not so. In the grand scheme of things, perhaps making sure every detail and every slide is perfect, and that all of the Jamboards are set up just right, and how much can I dance in the moment. And I think the other pressure here is that although I said I like to collaborate and be part of this team, the person who I'm co-training with next week is someone I've not co-facilitated with before. And so that's kind of adding this extra pressure on top of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of really playing on my mind, because it's really hard to facilitate with someone who you don't know and you don't have that relationship with.
Yeah, and you just said dance in the moment, not only for taking the pressure off yourself to making it all tick and tie and perfect, but also that you're going to be co-facilitating with someone who you don't know as well. You haven't done this together. Yeah,
that's quite new. I hadn't thought about that when I was, all I could think about was this reaction when I went into the materials.
Yeah.
And I hadn't appreciated that this actually, I think a lot of it is around the design of the facilitating with someone else, and all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
So I'm seeing two things here, John. I'm seeing one is encountering some way to remind yourself of how capable you actually are and how much your passion for this will be useful no matter what the slides or the materials look like. So that's one pathway. The other pathway is doing some work, as you just said, like to designing an alliance with this co-facilitator that might start to relieve some of the pressure too.
Yeah. So that's the session I've got on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you want to do to encounter your genuine confidence about who you are and the value you bring to the world?
I don't know. I think sometimes I do feel like a bit of like, so I get lots of positive feedback from lots of people, and I don't really get any much, well, outside of my systemic modeling group, because that's kind of a whole new level of facilitation, which is insane. But within the agile world, I don't really. I think sometimes it feels like there's a certain level of pressure I find as a, for example, certified enterprise coach in the Scrum Alliance. People look up to you and expect you to be something all the time. And, you know, that's maybe something you can relate to even more so with the book and all that. And, you know, we have to remember as well that we're human.
Hey, John, I'm going to interrupt you because we're back in the same record groove again. Yeah. What's this record group named?
What do you mean?
What is this song that you keep playing? It's something like the standards are really high and I've got to really push hard. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, though.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily untrue. The standards might be quite high.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't know what the thing is, but you do. What would you like to do to find a way to deal with the pressure? Go ahead. You're already there. What would you like to do?
What I'd like to do is not have a co-facilitator next week, but I'm not sure that's possible. That's the first thing that comes to mind if we think about extreme solutions to that, because that would take a whole lot of pressure off.
Yep.
In some ways, I think that needs to be in my mind when I do my clean setup on Thursday.
Okay. So that's a whole new level of autonomy. Yeah, that's a whole new level of autonomy and agency you just encountered.
I feel like I'm suffocating at the minute with the two things, and that one's easier for me to solve than this thing, which is the pressure and the standards I put on myself. And especially when your goal is, I'm going back into my record again.
Yeah, you are.
There's a pattern there.
Yeah. So what I really want for you is to have some way to encounter your passion for this. So how can you remind yourself or encounter and re-encounter your passion for this and let that lead more than the pressure about the standards?
God, this is really hard. Much prefer being on your side.
So I've got, yeah, I know. Being a coachee is serious work. I get it.
I've got a coach, but you know.
Yeah, I know. So here's a suggestion, and you can say yes or no and make a counter offer to this. My request to you is, will you talk with 5 people in the next 48 hours and tell them that you need a boost of confidence and you need to re-encounter and enliven your passion for this work? And just tell them, go, help me do that. You got 5 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
Would that be useful to you? Or are you just like saying yes because we're at the end of the
demo? There is a bit of that. It's like,
yeah. It's not quite right. I can feel like it's not quite right.
Because it feels like it might put even more pressure on myself, because it's gonna
okay.
I don't like
let it go.
I don't like confidence.
Okay.
I lack, like you said, it's more the like, I don't have the passion and the energy when I look at the materials that I want to have.
Okay. Okay.
And that's what I need in order for this to work next week.
All right.
So it feels almost too rigid, and it feels too, like, some bits don't feel authentic to me, and that's and so I really need to call those things out that just don't sit well with me, and either
oh my gosh, it's like going through with a passion pen.
A passion pen.
A passion pen. You got this like red pen. And it's like, slash anything that doesn't meet it. What do you think about that? I mean, not that you have to necessarily keep that. You might not keep all those slashes, but at least you would know and you'd free yourself. What do you think about that as an assignment for yourself?
That sounds more useful.
Okay.
And then I can do it. When I've got the session on Thursday, I can say, these are the bits that I'm really not passionate about.
Love it.
Like, and I can have a passion scale. So it's like, these bits I think we really need to like do something with. I couldn't even sit through you going through that bit, because I just wouldn't feel like it's gonna, like, it's not gonna help an agile coach. Is anything that either I haven't done, or I really am not confident that the person could go and do for themselves. So like, one example is deep democracy process.
Hey John, we're about to close this.
And it's
so don't give me, hey John, don't give me an example, because we're about to close this.
Yeah.
Now, I would love to chat with you about that example in a separate kind of conversation, but not in this coaching conversation. Yep. So you're going to use your passion pen. You're going to go through, slash the stuff that is just not you. Doesn't cut the mustard.
Yeah.
And you'll have that as information for your clean setup conversation on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Awesome. You know, typically we might organize some accountability. And you may already have that in your life, but if it's useful to you, I'd love to help you hold accountability to yourself. You could just send me a little note or a text or something that says passion pen activated, or, you know, something like that. I don't know. What would be useful, if anything?
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool.
Okay.
So yeah, I can send you a message letting you know that
I've
passion penned it up.
Passion penned it up. I love that. Okay, great.
Everyone should have a passion pen.
I know, we just invented it. It's awesome. So, so here's the thing, how you're impacting me right now is that my energy has come way up. And like, I would, at this point, if you wanted to teach me anything, I'd be quite receptive to it. And so I just want to like acknowledge that your passion works. Yeah. Do you know that about yourself?
Yeah, I think I know that. Yeah.
Awesome. thank you for doing this demo. It was actually 26 minutes long, so thanks for hanging in there. Oh, it's no big deal. It happens, you know. It's hard to do exactly on a time frame. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Lyssa.
Thank you for being willing to work this real thing.
Yeah,
and for helping people see what professional coaching can do. Yeah, great. Good. All right, let's go back to the whole room. You're getting a lot of love in the chat, John. All right. So I do want to take just a few moments to land some of the evidence that you saw for some of the foundational coaching skills. Now, you saw me do those skills with John in a one-on-one setting, but they are foundational. So they're also useful in a group setting. And you use them essentially the same way. So I love all the love in the chat. Thank you, everyone. So what about listening? Someone bring yourself live and give a piece of evidence for how you thought I was listening or not fully listening.
Can I share?
Yeah, go ahead, Anastasia.
Hi, hello. Nice to meet you, Lyssa, and everyone. Hello. It's a tricky one. I do it too. It was the when you're listening. It's very hard for me to actively listen. I'm really practicing that. So when you're listening, you say or you're nodding, which is, it's polite. You're obviously responding without actually saying something to what the other person is saying, expressing opinions, etc., etc. Yeah. But at the same time, I find it a little bit disruptive in my head, having to show the other person I'm listening to you.
All right, so let me help you with that. Let me help you with that and everyone else. There is a sort of active listening training that a lot of people have received that says to them things like mirror the other person's body language, say or repeat exactly what they said so they know you're listening. Anastasia, what you and everyone else were seeing was not me doing that at all. I am not even aware of those little that I'm saying. And here's why. I am first establishing the connection between me and the client and the coachee. And I'm staying totally connected over there with what they're saying. And when I do that, all that other stuff happens naturally, like the mirror alignment of bodies, the shared emotional space, whatever I'm doing that says or whatever. I literally don't know that I'm doing that. Now, I also have clients that find that really aggravating. And so then I just same thing, connect with them to be, I think about it this way, that I'm over in their seat, right? And when I do that and they say, I don't want those little fillers, then somehow they just go away. Like I'm not having to have an extra process running in my brain. So my advice to you and to everyone else, before you ask a powerful question, before you make a statement, before you do anything, connect with the other person for their benefit. And that's how this skill set is very different than other skill sets. Yeah, great. So that was a little bit about listening. What about powerful questions? So just first of all, what powerful questions did you hear? Just go ahead and bring yourself live and just say one that you heard.
What's important to you about what you're doing?
Yeah, it's important to you. Yeah. What else?
You talked about him having a dream and focusing on the kind of future state.
What was the dream? Yep. And that's, William, I just want to highlight and underline that. we often think that we need to help someone solve their problem by helping them go further into their problem. And a different way of addressing a problem or a challenge or quandary or whatever is by helping the person further envision what they actually want. And when they envision what they want, the next steps to solve their problem naturally fall out of that. So it's a little bit of a head fake that we don't actually look at the problem directly. Instead, we look at what they want. And we explore that until they can see it and feel it and smell it and sense it themselves. And then bang, they know what to do about their problem. Yeah. That is magical, I think. It's not magic, but it's magical. What other skills did you see? Who saw a skill and what was the evidence for it?
What I saw was the ability to listen and think at the same time. It's something I have found very difficult when I'm coaching. I have to process stuff and keep the conversation going one way around.
So here's why you can see me do that, is because I'm not thinking in real time. So this is really different. Professional coaching is like the opposite of chess. You're not figuring out any moves ahead of time. And in fact, this coaching conversation had a hard time getting off the ground because I was in my head. There was a tremendous lack of self-management at the beginning. I got thrown, but like, oh my God, this is another professional coach that I'm coaching. You know, I haven't done this in a while. I haven't done a 15-minute, like I had all kinds of crap going on up here, right? And that's when I just stopped the whole thing and just did a reset for both of us. Because Marty, I was in my head. So if you're finding out that it's really hard for you to do things like ask powerful questions or whatever, I'm going to suggest that you give up trying to be helpful. I know that sounds strange, doesn't it? Give up trying to be helpful and instead be curious. Be curious about what the other person is saying, not for your benefit, but to elicit their curiosity. And from there, you'll be able to stay in the present moment more often. Because there was a moment where I got real excited about what he was saying and I got really curious and he got more curious. That's when the energy shifted. It took us a while to get there, but we did. So is that helpful, Marty? Yeah, good. Yeah, great. So who saw what forwarding the action looks like and what did you see? Oh, come on. You all chatted about it. I know you saw it. Someone bring yourself live and tell us what you saw.
Well, I can't remember what I saw, but I did write it in there. And I think I picked up sort of 2 attempts. Maybe you noticed the time and had to go closing the top.
No, it's hard to close with him.
He was still warming up.
No, it was this one was a hard to close. Sometimes they are. Yeah. So you did see 2 attempts, Steve. You're exactly right.
I think so, yeah. And then, but yeah, it was really a 45-minute topic once you got it opened up, right?
They all are.
But I can't remember what you said to try that for the action.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it just wasn't right. Like, you know, the deal about forwarding the action is oftentimes the person's action will just fall out of their conversation. And John had actually several things he said that he could do. None of them felt like he actually wanted to do them. And so then we got to the end and I was making a request. So this is another professional coaching skill. It's called powerful requesting. I was making a request. So how about you try this, say yes, no, or make a counteroffer to it. And that wasn't even right. So then that's great though, because then you got a starting place. Then I said, okay, so what is the right action for you? And then somehow that passion pen got created in the moment. In between the relationship of me and John in the coaching relationship, that passion pen idea came up. And then it worked.
So again, that the idea of when you as coach have an idea and it falls flat, that comes back to that give up trying to be helpful and be curious.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if your intention is to increase their insight and for their action, then your quote unquote failed attempt to help them do that is actually not a failure at all. It's
Right.
just a
In
springboard
Agile,
to the
we
next
fail
thing.
fast, right? So we can learn.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Good. So now I need. Go ahead.
This is Joe. I had a different point in your conversation that I really loved, is when you pointed out we are coming back to the same song. Because not identifying that point, if he's not moving away from that point, there is no action coming. Like he was stuck in that point. So addressing it, naming it, getting it out of the equation was the pre-forwarding action that needed to happen.
Yeah.
So that, and it happened twice in the whole conversation when you called him, John, I'm going to use the language, call his shit on himself, right? Like he was telling the story. Again, I love you, John, you know me. Nothing against that, but just calling it out helped to clear out mind space.
Yeah, exactly.
That
So
action
we
even happen.
Exactly. So we all get in our own way. There are all these old songs that we play again and again in our heads, and we might not even know we're doing it until another human being goes, hang on, I think I've heard you go down this rabbit trail before, and there's nothing useful down here. Like it just keeps going around and around. Great. Okay, I need to talk with Tony and Scott for a moment. So Tony and Scott, we have totally blown the timing for this. We're already at 1 hour and 7 minutes in. So help me make some decisions about what we do.
So I'm interested in what the views of the group are, because obviously we've allowed time for this, and I feel it's important that this group now expresses there's a mentoring example to come. Can we fit that? Would that be fair for us to do this for you? Carry on.
So I suppose people will either carry on with me or drop off. I suppose we're all at choice.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So we're hearing lots of people say carry on now. Great. Good.
Yeah.
Good. And my apologies, y'all, for not knowing exactly how long this ran. I haven't done this particular setup in like 5 or 6 years, so it's been a bit of a time. Okay. Carry on, carry on. I've got that song in my head now where they say carry on, carry on. All right.
If it helps, I already have a mentoring candidate for you. So
you do? Okay, so awesome. So let's see if I can actually mentor them. Okay, let me give you just a couple little quick things, y'all, in a couple ideas from the presentation. Let me put that back in slideshow mode so it'll find it. Okay, I just want to do a quick wrap up here of the coaching and then we'll move into mentoring. And I'm not confident this is going to show well. Screen sharing has failed to start. Isn't that interesting? Okay, well, it's not meant to be. The cool thing is you have it in your handout. You have it in your handout. So go to the page on your handout that has the arc of the mentoring conversation. So in this one, you're going to see, honestly, a mix of professional coaching and mentoring, because I hold, and now I think the profession of agile coaching in general holds, that the mentee still needs to be at choice about what they do. It's not a matter of the mentor stuffing an idea into them until they finally say, okay, fine, I'll do it. The idea that if the person is at resonant choice about what they are saying they're going to do, they're going to be much more likely to do it. And then it's going to become theirs. And this is the way we help Agile become sustainable inside of people. So you're going to see a lot of keeping the person at choice, even though I am going to be offering opinions, giving advice, telling stories, offering resources. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe even a little teaching moment. Any of that could happen. And then at the end, again, you're going to see coaching to seal the deal. to find out what they want and what they actually will do. So you are going to see those professional coaching skills of listening and asking powerful questions and forwarding the action, self-management, same like you just saw. But now you're going to see me ask information questions. And these are questions that the other person already knows the answer to. It's not taking the person anywhere new. I remember I called myself on that with John at the very beginning. I said, I realized, John, I'm asking you questions that are not taking you anywhere new, so let's reset, right? With mentoring, necessarily you need to know some information so that you can figure out, like, in all the possible things you could offer this person, resources, models, whatever, what do you think might be useful to offer it? And then you'll see me keeping the mentee a choice. So I can't mentor on every topic in the world. I can only mentor on things that I am relatively more experienced or expert at than the person I'm mentoring. So let's see, Tony, who is the mentee and if their topic actually is an area that I can mentor them in.
So the first person to come through was Karina. I'm not gonna try and pronounce your surname because I think I'll get it wrong. So Karina.
Karina. Hi, Karina.
Hi, Lyssa. Hi.
Good. So Karina, if your topic were a newspaper headline, your mentoring topic were a newspaper headline, what would it be?
Maybe it will be how to grow, a tutorial for success. Something like
how
that.
to grow, and how to grow in what dimension of your life or work?
Currently, I'm a Scrum Master and coach in bigger corporates, in a bigger company, and I always seeking for ways how to grow and be better. But mainly, I really want to make a difference. Whether I'm working in a startup or a big company, and sometimes it feels to me that I'm just stuck. And
okay, so being stuck is something that professional coaching is going to be better at than mentoring.
I see, yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, you would prefer in this case coaching rather than mentoring.
Well, what I'm saying is, if our conversation can be focused on what skills you want to develop, and those are actually skills I know something about. I might know about development pathways for Scrum Masters and Agile coaches. Like, I could provide that mentoring to you. But if the dimension that you want to grow in your work and life is something I don't know about, then I can't mentor you on it.
I see. Okay. I somehow feel the difference. I wonder if maybe if I just seek for advice or maybe steps out of your experience, you can share something that.
And is this about being a Scrum Master?
Yeah, it's being a Scrum Master.
Okay. Okay. So that is something that's in my wheelhouse. I do know some things about that, probably quite a bit. So I feel like I could mentor you on that. And not saying that we won't have little coaching moments, we might, but since we're trying to do a mentoring demo, it can't be all professional coaching. Right, okay, good. All right, so Karina, you can be my mentee. This is great, this is great. So similar to how you saw me start with John a little while ago, this conversation is going to go hopefully for about 15 minutes or so. You are going to have some action at the end of it. So there will be a sense of at least something you're willing to do. So is that okay with you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right, great. And what do you need to feel like you're in the driver's seat of this conversation? What do you need from me?
Sharing your experience.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Good. So, this is an area that I do have a lot of opinions and experience about. And so what I want to make sure you know is that I'm not going to hold those back, but I am then immediately going to check in with you and see if they take you somewhere.
I see.
Yep. And if they don't, we're just going to, push them aside and then go for another one. Because here's the danger, especially given how well known I am in this specific domain, the danger is that you accept what I say without investigating it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want you to take only the things that you feel like you can, that mean something to you, not just because I said it. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. And as we get going, if you all would shut off your cameras, that would be beautiful. And I'm going to hide the non-video participants so I can come on in with Karina.
So I close the chat so I'm not distracted. Okay.
Yeah, great, great. Yeah, and thank you, Marty, for realizing that about the same time I did. Marty said the same thing in the chat for people to close their videos. All right, great. Okay, so now it's just you and me.
Okay.
That's great. All right, so we already talked about the newspaper headline. It's, you know, how do I grow? How do I grow myself? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe further how to maybe not just grow myself but really making a difference or having this big impact within a company to really change the culture or adapt things for the good, something like this.
Yeah. So I get that it's important to you, the work you do.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And there's something about changing the culture. What's important about changing the culture?
It's about having also the people involved on the same page. Mm-hmm. Somehow I go for creating or supporting development and an environment where people feel safe. Mm-hmm. And they are creative and get all their skills and be their best self, self in interest for and also align those with corporate interests.
Yeah. So that's what you want. How's
Mm-hmm.
that going so far?
So far, sometimes I have strong ideas, and I really have the feeling that those are heard, and that I can really try things out. But sometimes they are just heard, and there's no buy-in or no commitment, maybe from higher positions, let's say the top level management behind it. Mm-hmm. And therefore I'm kind of stuck. So I am accepted in my role, in my position. Sometimes it feels like I need something more, a stronger force behind my back to drive those ideas. And that's why so maybe you hear it sometimes. I feel alone when driving or pushing things, and I think it's an I would go for a team behind me or some sort of community or other people who have the same ideas or have at least the same motivation.
Yeah. So that's one possibility, is that you get a team or a community behind you and sort of giving you some strength for those voices that you have not been able to influence as much as you'd like so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there might be other options that come out. So let's investigate this a little bit. What would you say is your level of influence with the people who you want to influence in this change?
On team level, for example, it's a very high influence.
Yep.
I feel connected and to the people, and since I work with them every day, I see them every day. And on a, let's say, management level or corporate level, it becomes more and more difficult.
Yeah. And where do you want to focus our conversation for the next few minutes?
How to make a difference or having this impact on corporate level. So really on an enterprise level to have some sort of this top-down approach when it comes to company culture.
Yeah. So at this moment, would those top managers welcome you to use professional coaching skills with them to help them investigate their own internal thinking?
No, they're
Okay.
not. So,
Okay.
so
Well, there you go. So that's number one. Like, so until you develop your skills, but also develop your leaderfulness. Like the word, do you know the word gravitas? It's not used very often. Do you know this word?
No.
Gravitas. It means like the ability to be taken seriously. And you know how there are some people who just have a presence that they're taken seriously. Yeah. So that's, in my opinion, what's needed to be able to influence people at the executive level. Is to, number one, have the gravitas to be taken seriously, but then have the professional coaching skills to back it up, to be able to help them explore what is holding them back from making the agile transformation they need to make so that this whole thing can work. What do you think about that?
I think what's holding them back is this level of uncertainty, because with the transformation, you never know.
Yeah, for sure.
What you end up with, and yeah, and it's a lot of emotions probably behind this, a lot of money, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am not sure. I can't tell what they need for being more. Yeah.
Well, you might not have the invitation to find out right now. Right. What I often find is that people, when they start developing their skills to the level where they can work with the executive team, they often have to leave their current job and go to another job where the people there don't know them from the past. And they can sort of enter in at that management level as more equal power footing. So that's some experience I have. That's an opinion I have. Where does that take your mind, if anywhere?
So I'm just thinking, and I think it's a good approach, since the one who is actually somehow switching the company or meeting new executives has maybe a whole new perspective on things, and is not too deep into the topics or the problems. And also the executives may trust this new person more, or trust in his or her abilities more, something like this.
Yeah. The relationship is just totally different. That's what you're pointing to. That's what you're making me realize, is that the way the relationship is set up at the very beginning is just totally different. So, you wouldn't make a move like that until you were really confident in your skills, in the whole sort of palette of skills of agile coaching.
Yeah.
And so, how have you already investigated, like what classes you would take or what development path you would put yourself on to really get that whole palette of skills?
Yeah, in fact, from my point of view, I feel like ready, or I have this educational background. I also have a degree in coaching and so on, because I think it's necessary and it's very useful in working with teams and individuals.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a step into the organization, and it's a step dealing with executives.
Got it.
Rather than maybe team members who can chat informally.
Yep. So your confidence level has just risen tremendously for me. Like, as soon as you said this, it's just the way you're impacting me right now. As soon as you said I have this degree in coaching, then all of a sudden it felt to me like you got like a floor under your feet that you can stand on. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels. I feel like in a safer position.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you are. I mean, so few people even know about that skill set. Not that that's the only skill set that agile coaches use, but it tends to be the one that's most underutilized or not as skillful as it needs to be. So I have a suggestion for you. Have you heard of the book Evolve Agility yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's a book called Evolve Agility. And full disclosure, this is one of my collaborators who I love very much who wrote it. His name is Michael Hammond. But I'm not recommending it because I know him. I'm recommending it because it is that book that very specifically maps out the shift that leaders and organizations need to make. And it's written for coaches to help them help leaders go on that transformation journey that's theirs to take, which is very different than teams. It's a very different journey. So I offer that to you in case it's useful, because it could help you use the skills you already have.
Mm-hmm. What's new for me now is really focusing on executives, on the relationships to executives.
See, that's what Michael Hammond. In fact, Tony Richards was just telling me before we started this that he went to Michael Hammond's session in the Agile Coaching Retreat. That's free, by the way. Oh, if you register for that, then you'll get all the recordings and you can see this session that Michael did. It was on coaching executives, and he coached an executive live, and he talked about the different things that happen when you coach executives. Like, for example, there is a role for the coach to be a disorienting partner to executives, to intentionally turn an executive's mind and world upside down for a minute. And that's very different than coaching teams or coaching people one-on-one, you know? So anyway, I'm excited about it. I wonder if you'll be, but I offer it to you in case it's useful. Yeah.
I like this. I like this approach because it's new to me. So really reaching out to the individuals rather than thinking of I need to have an impact in the organization and then how. And then we get to this point coaching executives, and maybe now it's not that I don't have the skills. It's maybe gaining more confidence by just using my skills more often.
Yeah, maybe
having
and not and not saying that you wouldn't want to necessarily focus on the organizational context too. You know, that could be useful too. But it seems to me like you found a sort of like a, ooh, this is like an on-ramp for me.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. So what's a step you want to take? Like, I don't know, maybe you find an executive somewhere and you ask them if they want you to be their coach.
Sure. What I did in the past, I like to approach people and have informal chats also, but now in this case, really focusing on where do you want to go, what should be the expected result from my point of view, and then I will try to have this open discussion and really offer my skills to them, basically, and to really show them what I am capable of or whatever, or we should just give it a try. Yeah, the way you're impacting me is that I actually feel your capability. The way you're talking, I'm like, okay, I might want to be her client, you know? So, okay, so set yourself some homework. How many of these conversations do you want to have by a certain time? Or is there a certain person you want to approach by a certain time? What would feel like good homework for you? Good question, because I'm just thinking on what level. Should I really start on the top level? Should I start maybe with my manager or with my line manager? So here's my advice: is start with something that's only slightly scary. Only slightly scary. Only slightly scary, because what you're doing is a bit of an experiment of like, how can you hone your craft for this particular kind of audience? I think I start with the lead I feel most connected to. Okay. Where I didn't follow this professional approach yet of coaching. So I think you might be open. I would just set up a session, time box it, but before I would just have a short talk what this is about and what your energy is just way up. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So if you would like to design some accountability with me, I'd be happy to do that. I'll give you my email in the chat in a moment, and you could maybe just email me and say, hey, I had that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so important from an accountability perspective to me to know exactly what happened in that conversation, but just that you forwarded your own action and you took the action no matter what the outcome was. Yeah? Would that be helpful to you?
I think that makes it a stronger commitment to this action.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But somehow evolving someone else where I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So by when will you have that conversation and then email me?
I think I'm just thinking what holds me back having this conversation tomorrow. So maybe I would just go for mid next week. So Wednesday next week.
Okay. Wednesday next week.
Yeah.
Wednesday next week. So it's in about a week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then email me afterwards. And just let me know you did it.
Great.
Or Wednesday comes and you didn't do it, then you still email me. There's learning in that too.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful. I learned actually a lot, just 15 minutes.
That's great. Well, you're on the starting block, that's for sure. You're in motion.
I really appreciate your time and your energy on this. So thank you very much.
So is there anything you or I need to say to be done with that, since we got rudely interrupted by my internet crashing?
No, I think we had this action item that was really important to me.
Yep.
And there's this commitment in the room. So I committed by doing the first coaching session by next week, Wednesday.
Got it.
And then I thanked you, and I really appreciated your time and your energy putting into this.
I did hear that.
Okay,
I did hear that. Yeah. Okay, good. So we got to complete.
Yeah.
So everyone, just notice that a process has gotten kicked off for Karina. Did you see how she was able to, bam, list what she's going to do? She's ready to go. That's the whole thing about these coaching or mentoring conversations, is that we kick off a process for the other person to take the next step. And then, what happens in their life happens in their life. They come back for the next conversation, you check in what happened, and then continue on with the next possible step. All right. So, I think I want to make 2 points and then open it up for any thoughts that you all have about coaching and mentoring and the use of them. So let me share this screen. And you have these 2 little slides that I'm about to show in your handout. What's really important to me is that you start to see that because of these things of designing the alliance, holding the focus, and ending with action and accountability, like you saw happen between me and John, that there's actually a lot of backbone in professional coaching conversations. Because many people encounter professional coaching for the first time and realize, oh my gosh, I can provide value without having to know the answer, without being the expert. This is amazing. Sometimes, and I think John alluded to this, they can go a little bit too far with it being so open-ended and so compassionate and so warm that sort of nothing happens. And that's only because they are not yet at the level of practice where they get this backbone piece. So I really want to offer this to you, that coaching has, yes, heart, but it also has backbone. And then on the flip side, of course, we know mentoring has backbone because we're, offering advice. Like I just gave Karina straight out advice. I'm like, I don't think that's going to work. What do you think when I say that? But also, we have heart because at the beginning, we're really fully listening to what's the real problem, which typically are not the symptoms that people are talking about at the beginning. And then hopefully offering short bursts of advice, opinions, teaching, whatever, and then checking with the mentee, like, where does this take you? And then ending with action that's truly theirs. So in these ways, there's heart in mentoring. There's backbone and heart in mentoring. So I wanted to offer that to you because I have a concern that we're at a level of practice of both of those skill sets, that professional coaching is too much on the heart side and mentoring is too much on the backbone side. And what I'm wanting for us is a little more integration and fluidity. So having said that, what wants to be said here about coaching and mentoring as you just saw them, and maybe applying it to your real life situations? What wants to be said about those two skill sets? So right now, Scott, I just got, unmuted. Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to unmute yourselves.
Yep. Thanks,
I
Jamie.
have a question. So, sorry.
Yep. Well,
I'm
just realizing. So go ahead, Anastasia. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, quick one on the mentoring bit. Do you, given that you have the experience on the specific problem, do you leave it to be the problem that the mentee is communicating, or you see kind of the rare view from your experience, some of the things that the mentee could work on to help them on the problem? Does it make sense?
Well, it kind of makes sense. If I understand you, you're asking if I see a clear path, that I think it's a clear path for the mentee. Do I just sort of stick with that and make sure that they hear it from me? Is that what you're saying, Anastasia?
More like, do you accept the problem as it's been communicated?
No, I don't. Oh, great. Thank you. No, I don't. And in fact, I didn't. Because she started with, I need to grow. And I'm like, okay, well, let's push on that a little bit and see what's going on. It ended up, I have the skills I need. I just need to step into them in a new way. Right? And so that was the fully listening part at the beginning. And also asking a couple little information questions to sort of orient me. And it just evolved, I thought, quite beautifully. The way it moved from, I need more, to, oh, I actually have what I need. I need to now just step into the belief and the knowledge that I do have it. Yeah.
Hey, this is Jo. I think the basic difference in my head, and I think it is true, is I mentor a known problem. I coach for the problem when it is not known yet.
Oh, that's interesting, Jo. Yeah, that's an interesting way to do it. Yeah.
In defining the problem, on the mentor side, in defining the problem, I give the terminology. There is a lot of that dance early on to refine the problem statement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, like, my terminology, my experience, to give them the language to formulate that problem comes around. And in coaching, the problem is unknown. So you have to dig deeper into the emotional side, to what's stopping them, to what's the empowering belief, what is the limiting belief, and there is that dance that's going to go on.
Yeah.
And it's more of an internal journey and staying true in the mud with the coachee to highlight that problem, to come up. And it's, you are co-authoring the language of that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching stance. So that's how I see both of them different when I step into those contexts.
Yeah. And along with that, Jo, I like that. And I'm going to be thinking about that as I, sort of negotiate this territory in a given conversation, like where are we headed, mentoring or coaching? Another thing I think about is, if I have offered the second and third and fourth thing that the mentee can do, and I keep getting yes, but, who knows what I'm talking about when I say this? Have you encountered this yourself in conversations? Okay, great.
Yeah.
We have a rule in our own house, just in our family conversations, and I carry this into my coaching and mentoring too. At the third yes, but it's time to switch to coaching. Because there is something in this person's way, some part of them that actually doesn't want to solve this problem. There is some sort of maybe benefit they're getting from not solving it, or some limiting belief that makes them think they can't ever surmount this problem, and so they don't want to try. So that's the thing, and that's what Joe was saying, like, what's the limiting belief underneath it that we have to uncover first before they're willing to take the advice or willing to find their own piece of advice.
Yeah. And to add to that, you co-authored the problem statement. When you
but you know, I get a little worried about that, Joe. Yes, I think co-authoring is fine, but I really just want to be so transparent with the person to say, I think this is the topic we're working on. Is that right? Yeah. And just like have clear agreement about it. Yeah. And I actually think you're up for that. You're on the same wavelength for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Good.